free, the home of the brave. Why do we call ourselves free? Are we free just because we are people? Just because we exist? I exist, therefore I'm free? Are we free just because we are free from government? Does our government make us free? No, in fact, the opposite is true. The lack of government makes us free. It is the government itself we enjoy freedom from. Our founding fathers gave us a Bill of Rights to ensure us the freedom of the very government that we were about to create. Why did they do that? What were they thinking and what were they afraid of? On 9/11/2001, the Twin Towers, a glimmering symbol of American democracy and capitalism, were reduced to rubble, and a nation stood stunned in horror. Horror and disbelief quickly became a unified cry for vengeance and for protection from future attacks. Our government responded to this cry for protection by insisting that it cannot take care of national security without stripping Americans of some of their most basic rights. Rights, I might add, that have been with us since the birth of this country. According to the Justice Department, the federal government doesn't have enough power to spy on Americans, detain people without charges, or seize property without a court order. The Justice Department is now demanding that Congress pass anti-terrorism bills to do all that and more. This week, Congress is considering bills to allow the government to further expand carnivore email spying programs and obtain student records from colleges, acquire credit card, phone, bank transaction records, and expand police wiretap authority. These new laws would allow them to do all this without showing just cause and without the need to obtain a court order, essentially ending America's constitutional right to due process. These new laws would mean that your government can listen to any of your phone conversations without anyone, including the court, knowing. Your government can open your mail before you even received it and then send it on its way to you without anyone, including the court, knowing. You would not know that you're under surveillance until you found yourself in court without the constitutional protection of due process. Anything found during the surveillance could be used against you, not just terrorist activity. What would you call a government with this much power? What would you call a government that could circumvent judicial review? But what does this mean to me? I'm not a terrorist, I'd say. I'm not a criminal. I have nothing to hide. The question is, are you willing to trade your right to due process for safety? What good is it to be safe if you are not free? We, who have taken our freedom for granted, seem to be easily convinced that these rights are not that important. We want to trust the government when it tells us that if we have nothing to hide, then there is no reason to be afraid. Innocent people are never in prison. The federal government always performs in an honest and just manner. Well, history proves the contrary. And there is much reason for honest citizens to be afraid of. Thomas Jefferson once said, "Government big enough to supply everything you need? Is government big enough to take everything you need? We don't need to give our government more power. All we have to do is focus our attention on the problem. Look at all the suspects we arrested all over the world since the bombings. This wasn't accomplished because we allowed the FBI to detain citizens for extended periods of time, or because we allowed them to wiretap our phones without a court order. These things were accomplished because we are now alert and making terrorism a priority. The recent bombings and the threat of future attacks have made us afraid. When we are afraid, we look for a quick fix and a band-aid solution. The decisions we make today will affect our children's future. It is sad, but we don't know what we have until we lose it. Unfortunately, once we give up a right, it is gone forever. Our Constitution does not give us freedom from intrusive government. Our forefathers knew that any government has the potential to become intrusive. Our forefathers knew that any government... Now, let me just leave you with the Thomas Jefferson quote. Where the people fear their government, you have tyranny. Where the government fears the people, you have liberty. Thank you.